The story begins in the world of monsters, exactly on the continent of Arcana, where the demon castle is located. At this time, the demon king Barrios Belphegor, known as Shin, was sitting on his throne while they were discussing with his minions. According to his subordinate, their next agenda is to burn Hell, a place located in the Ruspel area. While they were discussing, someone screamed, saying they were in danger. It was a tiny octopus named Octoper. Octoper was sweating and seemed to be scared. He wanted to explain what really had happened outside the castle, but he was stuttering. Shin looked at him with annoyance and asked him if he wanted to die. "What kind of disrespect? What is it?" the Demon King's subordinate asked. "He is Luke Liberta, ranked 4th in the demon world." October was trembling in fear and was finally able to tell the king that human warriors had invaded their demon castle. Shin becomes silent while Luke says that October maybe lost his mind for saying such words and barging into this room because of some measly humans. "What's Nardak doing?" Shin asked, and October feels down as he answers the Demon King that Nardak was already defeated by humans. Not just Nardak, but also their other members named Kane, Sven, and Nardak's whole army. As per October, the human warriors have successfully breached through and are moving at breakneck speed toward the demon castle. Shin still dared to smile and said that it had been a while since humans dared to enter his castle. "Then, shall we take a look at who these punks are?" he uttered while casting a magic ball to see the human warriors who invaded his castle. But then, upon seeing a familiar human, he suddenly paused and became silent. Luke suddenly walked on the aisle and told October to lead the way. "I will deal with this myself," Luke uttered. But then, Shin seemed to be nervous, telling Luke to tell the humans that he was not in his castle right now. Upon hearing what he said, October and Luke were puzzled. Shin stood while Luke was asking him where he was going. But then, Shin didn't give any direct answer and only told Luke, "If you dare to harm them in any way, I'll personally kill you." He then opened a portal and left. There's also a notepad dropped after he disappeared. Luke picked it up and there was an instruction to put this note on the door. Luke checked the other note and he doesn't have the choice but to follow the Demon King. He put the notes on their castle door and the human warriors saw it. It was stated on the note that the Demon King is currently absent, so human warriors should come back next time. A lady in the middle, wearing a red cape, saw the note, and at the same time, Luke saw her and was shocked, wondering why this lady, the Demon King's daughter, was now here in the demon castle. A long time ago, Demon King Shin got curious about something. Every time they invaded the human world, people would do everything for their children, promise to protect them, and even offer their own life for the sake of their kids. Because of the Demon King's curiosity, he even asked for the opinion of Luke. He asked if most living beings value their own lives the most, and why those humans act in a contradictory way. Luke also agreed with him, but then, he wondered if it's necessary for them to understand those lowly beings. Shin then replied that it would be much easier for them to conquer the human world if they understood human behavior. Luke was surprised to hear these words from the Demon King himself. Sometime after that conversation between Luke and Shin, Luke left to do research and came back right after. He entered the room of Shin with excitement and said that he conducted research on humans. But then, he doesn't have the time to explain it upon seeing Shin holding a baby girl. Shockingly, it was a human. The baby was crying loudly and Luke asked the king about what's this tiny thing in his arms. According to Shin, he found it in the human king's castle. He also said that the baby was crying for a long time and he wondered why. He asked the opinion of Luke, but even Luke was also clueless. Shin then madly ordered him to do whatever he could to stop the baby from crying. Luke panicked as he answered yes and immediately cast his magical flame in front of the baby who was lying in a crib. But then, he cancelled the flame when Shin slammed him on the floor, asking him what he was doing. "But your majesty, most humans become silent when they're burnt," Luke answered. He then stood as he heard Shin commanding him to go and figure out the reason for all the crying of the baby. Luke checked the books inside the room while Shin was trying to calm the baby. Luke was throwing away all the books that were useless until he finally found a book with the title, "How to Become the Best Dad in the World." He and Shin started reading it and they have found several reasons why babies cry. After seeing these reasons, Shin then decided to check everything. The first is checking if the baby already has wet pants. But upon checking, the baby's diaper is still clean. Shin then used his magic as he decided to eliminate the wet pants problem in the future. He teleports all foreign matter away and then moves to the next reason, which is the baby might be hungry. Luke immediately prepared a meal which is their usual meal. Fresh meat from a Blake Drake that Luke had just killed. Shin was glad that Luke was prepared, but when they tried to give the meat to the baby, she stopped crying as she was startled and loudly cried again. Shin immediately moved the meat away from the baby while Luke read the book and found out that babies drink from the breast. He immediately grabbed the baby and let her sip to his breast. Upon seeing what he did, Shin became more annoyed and ordered Luke to find a feeding bottle. Luckily, Luke had it in an instant. Shin was glad despite the fact that he didn't know any reason why Luke had this thing with him. He then carried the baby and let her sip from the bottle. Still, the baby refused to drink the milk and spit it out. Luke then tried the next way, which was his sleeping magic. He cast it and tried it on the baby, but unfortunately, the baby resisted his spell. Shin then told him to stop trying to spark a rivalry with a baby. They tried another way, not just one but a lot of ways, but it only made the baby more sad and cried a lot. She was crying so loud while both Shin and Luke felt tired trying to find ways. At that time, Shin realizes how parenting works. It hurts his head so much while thinking what should be the reason for this baby crying unstoppable. When he stood and went back to the baby suddenly smiled widely. Shin then found another way he believed would surely work. It was a peekaboo. At first, the baby was confused, but Shin continued doing it and tried to dance the baby. The baby was enjoying it until she felt sleepy. Finally, the baby slept in the arms of Shin, and just like that, he, a demon king, became the dad of a human baby girl. Years passed, and Shin's one of his routines was to go to the human world, exactly at the church to pick up his daughter. His daughter was taught by the priests in the church together with the other kids. One day, Shin entered the church, and the moment the door opened, his daughter immediately turned around, expecting that it was him. Shin instantly smiled every time he heard the kid call him daddy. He opened his arms to ask the child to hug him. He called his daughter his princess and he asked her if she missed him. His daughter would always answer yes, but would also say she understood since she believed her father had a job to attend to. With the little girl's thoughtfulness, Shin becomes touched and hugs his daughter and even imagines quitting his title as the Demon King. "I feel indebted to you each time I go on a business trip," Shin said to the priest. The priest then told him not to worry at all and also stated that Celine, his daughter, is always welcome to the search since she's a good and smart kid. At that time, Celine already had a clear understanding, so she was very proud of himself every time the priests complimented her. After talking to the priest, Celine and Shin had planned to eat pasta as Celine's reward for being a good daughter. Shin was about to hold hands with his daughter and told her they should head back home, but his daughter said no since there's still a thing they would always do before leaving the church. That is to pray to Tirsa, the goddess of generosity and mercy. Shin doesn't have a choice but to do what his daughter wants. But he cannot believe he, the Demon King, is praying to the god of heaven. While the priest and Celine were praying, they noticed that Shin was silent, so they looked at Shin and Shin immediately followed the words of prayer. Hearing him pray makes the priest and Celine very happy. All of a sudden, someone reported that there was a danger coming. To be exact, there is a demon outside the church. The church was confused about how it happened since he was sure he put a barrier using divine power. Shin felt the guilt since he was the culprit, the one who destroyed the barrier. He got rid of it as it annoys him. The demon is a boar and is heading inside the church. The head priests then instructed everyone to evacuate to the underground chapel. The human rattled and the boar had entered before they could run away. "You weak humans, your attempt to escape is quite amusing," the boar uttered. But he was cut off upon seeing someone familiar inside the church. It's none other than the ruler of the demon world, the Demon King, Shin. As he was staring at the Demon King, he saw the clear aura of the Demon King and he questioned himself the reason why the king was inside the church together with some other people. The people continued running away while Shin and his daughter remained standing. Shin was expressionless, wondering why the boar was also here. As he was staring at the boar, he felt that his daughter was trembling. He looked at his daughter and saw the little girl very frightened, which annoyed him. Are you scared? He asked while wiping Celine's tears. He then told Celine that they should now play a game together. Celine wondered about what game they should play in this kind of time, and as Persian, she just needed to count numbers with her eyes closed until he would tell her to stop. He promised that the boar would fall asleep if Celine didn't make a mistake. He chose the word asleep knowing that his daughter would think of him as a criminal if he said he would kill it. He then bumped his head into Celine's head and told her to trust her. Celine said yes with clenched fists and immediately closed her eyes and started to count. While she was counting, Shin walked away from her and went in front of the boar. The boar was scared the moment it saw Shin activate his power. Shin then pushed away the boar with his ability and the boar flew away back to the outside of the church. Upon seeing his strength, the people who witnessed what he did were jaw-dropping. At the same time, Celine had reached 4 and Shin told her to stop. Shin then showed his daughter the dead boar and Celine was impressed while saying that the boar really fell asleep. "What did I tell you? Isn't your dad amazing?" Shin said, and Celine then answered that he was the best daddy. Upon hearing it, Shin feels that his heart was pierced, causing critical damage that makes him vomit blood. He then invited his daughter to go back home, but then Celine got curious as to why there was blood coming out of his mouth. But before Shin could answer, people behind them called him and asked if he was a hero. Shin was confused knowing that he wasn't a hero but a demon king. On the other hand, Celine was surprised and seemed to wish that her father would answer yes. At this young age, she already knew that heroes protect those weak and defeat the bad villains. She also explained to her dad that it was the priest who taught them about heroes and that heroes are strong apostles of justice. Shin at that time didn't know what to say. He was sweating as he answered, "I guess so." Celine repeated the question, which pressures Shin. To end the conversation about heroes, he then answered yes and loudly said, That of yours is a hero of justice." Hero Shin. The priests were all surprised as they could not believe there was a hero with them. They said that they had heard the name Hero Shin before, but they didn't know, Shin only made it up. And that's how he was named as Shin in this story. Celine called him to say that she also wants to become a hero like her father Shin. Shin was dumbfounded as he didn't know what he would do if that happened, knowing that he was the demon king. After Celine said those words, she immediately ran to her father and hugged him tight while saying that she loved him the most in the entire world. Shin was emotional. He grabbed Celine's shoulder and said that he also loved her the most in the entire world. He widely smiles at his daughter as he feels thrilled since he never expected to be attached to a daughter like Celine. Celine then also said that there are 2 things she hates the most in the entire world. Shin asked her what it could be and she looked at her father's eyes the same as Shin to her. Shin then heard his daughter's answer, stating that she hates those liars and also the demon king. Celine then pushed Shin on the floor and she stood in front of her father while clenching her fists. "Aren't you both of them, Dad? So don't be too heartbroken. It's only fair that you die by my hands because I'm a hero," she said. Shin screamed after hearing it, but then he found himself in his room, so he concluded he was just dreaming. Upon hearing his scream, Luke then came to him and asked if he was fine or perhaps if he was worried about something. But then, Shin only told him to wear some clothes to look presentable. After a few seconds, he cannot hold himself but to ask the opinion of Luke about heroes. Luke laughed and said that heroes are foolish bastards who don't even know their plans. But before he could say more, Shin punched him in the face and said, "How dare you look down on my daughter's dream?" The punch was too strong, which made Luke fall on the floor and feel like his soul came out from his body. He cannot believe that the Demon King suddenly punched him without any valid reason. Shin then apologized to him and reasoned that his hands moved on their own. His daughter then suddenly entered and called him. Shin got very excited, pushing away Luke and running to Celine with a wide smile. He tried to hug Celine, but Celine was so curious about what happened to Luke. "Why is Mr. Lulu lying over there?" she asked, and Shin then commanded Luke to get up. Luke got up and was about to greet the kid, but he got ignored since Celine told her dad that she scolded some bad kids outside for hurting her cat. Luke was so upset by the fact that he got ignored again. Celine then proudly said that she would try even harder to become an amazing hero. For Shin, he knew he could not stop his daughter's dream, so he told her to do what she wished to become. At the same time, Luke had for the first time discovered that Celine wanted to become a hero. He then thinks of a reason why, then deduces that it may be because the Demon King would plant the little girl as a spy among the other heroes to gather information. "I have been enlightened, Your Majesty, I mean Master. I will personally train the young miss and raise her to become a brilliant hero," he stated. But then Shin ordered him to leave. They both then went to the demon castle together to discuss the case. Luke got a lump on his head as he was punished by Shin for acting recklessly. Luke kneeled in front of Shin and admitted his mistakes. Shin then told him to forget about it but instead, think of the right measures. A way to make his daughter give up on her dream to become a hero. Luke then said that it might be better if they would leave things as they are. A dream is nothing more than a dream, and there are very few humans who are reborn as heroes, he added. But then, Shin doesn't want to let his daughter be a hero and become his enemy one day. Because of the determination of Celine, she helped those in need. She helped an old man by removing a huge rock in the way. She also caught a huge insect without knowing that it wasn't a monster. The fortune teller even said that Celine has the face of a true hero. Everything Celine had done at her age made Shin believe that Celine really fit to become a hero since her talent was on another level. That time, he decided to stop his daughter from becoming a hero no matter what. He and Luke were thinking of a way, and Luke suggested wiping out all of humanity as he believed that if it happened, the concept of heroes will naturally disappear. Do you also want to naturally disappear? Suggest something sensible and useful. Shin replied. Luke then checked the books inside, searching for a useful one while complaining about why the Demon King hates only him. He was throwing the book behind and there was a book landed below Shin. Shin picked it up and brought the book into the human world, exactly to their house. It was already night, the sleep time of Celine. Shin was holding the book and asked the kid if she wanted him to read a book before going to sleep. Celine asked if the story is all about heroes, and yes, she was right. The book had the title, Collection of Hero Stories. Once upon a time, there lived a hero in a village. And that hero died. But the villagers lived happily ever after even without the hero. And that's how the story ends. As expected, Celine doesn't like how the story goes, so she demands another story. She can then read another story and it goes like this. Once upon a time, there lived a hero. The hero heard a rumor about an evil demon king and went to the demon king's castle. The hero defeated the demon king. The people rejoiced and the hero became the king. But the hero who had become the king made life difficult for people, by exploiting them and showing unruly behavior. But one day, another demon king showed up and defeated the hero. That demon king became the new king and helped the people find peace again. Still, Celine didn't like the story and told her father to stop reading the book anymore, instead, saying something about himself. She was very curious to know more about her dad since he said he was a strong hero. Sheen then said that he was really a strong hero. Celine then asked if he had already met the Demon King and he answered he did. Celine becomes excited to hear more and he asks her father if he ever fought against the Demon King. And Shin replied yes. Who is stronger, the Demon King or you? Celine asked. But Shin flinched as he didn't know how to answer it anymore. In the end, he told Celine to always remember that her dad is really strong but the Demon King is much stronger. Celine becomes disappointed, which makes Shin sad. He then told the little girl not to meet the Demon King since the Demon King is a very strong being. But then, Celine said that she would do everything to become stronger and stronger and avenge his father. Shin was speechless as he could not imagine that his lovable daughter would be his enemy someday. He told Celine that there was no need for revenge, but then Celine told him to trust her. In the end, his plan of making Celine change her mind by telling her stories about heroes is a complete failure. When Shin left his daughter's room, Celine then opened her diary and noted everything that happened. She said in her diary that her dad read her stories about heroes but it made absolutely no sense. She also put in her diary that she asked her dad instead to say something about himself and only said that the Demon King was too strong for him to defeat. And with that, she thinks her father is afraid of the Demon King. That's why she told him that she'd become even stronger and defeat the Demon King. Her father cried that she thought tears of joy after saying it, and she was so happy too. From that day, she made up her mind to become a great warrior for her father. She then closed her diary. She then fell asleep and Shin went back to her room and was shocked to read her diary for the day. After a few days during the night, Shin checked his daughter in the living room. Celine was busy doing something and said that it was done the moment Shin entered. She then turned around and told her dad to look at what she made. Shin checked it out, but then, it was only Celine's plan to become a hero someday. The first thing is to do something good every day. The second thing is to study for an hour every day. And third is to train stamina every day. Celine proudly told her dad that this was her plan to become a hero, and she would start her training the day after. She then ran to her room to sleep since she was too excited for her training. At that time, Shin becomes mad. He teleported to the demon castle and blamed Luke for failing his task to stop Celine. As per Luke, they had made 43 attempts in total and failed 43 times. Shin then said angrily that he would not tolerate failure on the 44th attempt. Because of his anger, he attacked Luke but intentionally never hit him. Luke was trembling in fear while Shin walked away, ordering Luke to arrange an immediate meeting with the top demons and make sure to summon all heads. The next day in the morning, Celine woke up too early. She instantly remembers her planned training, so she immediately gets up to prepare. Shin and the top demons had another plan to stop Celine. All their preparations are complete. All that is left is to execute the plan. After half an hour, Celine finished everything and was ready to leave. She was biting bread while informing her father that she was leaving to do some good deeds. Shin permitted her. But as she opened the door, she was surprised as she saw something unusual. The commander of the Demon Army's 5th Corps. The Commander General of the Demon Army's Special Force. The Commander of the Demon Army's 3rd Corps. The Commander General of the Demonic Beast Training Corps. And the head of Succubi were at the human world doing good stuff to people who need help so that Celine couldn't find anyone who needs help. Celine was searching for people who needed help, and since she paused for a minute, Shin thought everything worked according to their plan. But then, Celine saw an old lady who she thought needed help, so she pointed to the lady and ran toward her to help. Shin panicked as he wouldn't let his daughter do good deeds. He immediately ran, passed through his daughter and helped the old lady. Celine found another one and Shin ran to the man again as fast as he could just to avoid his daughter from helping. He also helped a cat, another guy, and more people near their house. After everything he had done, he felt so exhausted and felt like he burned the candles on both ends. He somehow managed to prevent Celine from doing a good deed, but it ended up that he's the one who does good deeds on behalf of his daughter. While he was resting, Celine suddenly touched his shoulders and offered him a back message, knowing that her father was tired of helping. Shin was so happy with the kindness of his daughter, not until Celine said she finally made something good. He feels like he was struck knowing that Celine helped one person because of him. Meanwhile, Celine decided to do self-study, so she told her father not to disturb her. Shin then said yes and wished her good luck in studying. Shin then comes out from their study room and one of his men is outside waiting for him as they have another plan to do. This man stole a secret scroll from humans and infiltrated enemy lines and sabotaged them countless times. He opened the scroll and gave life to the fly from it. This fly can disrupt someone's concentration. It entered the study room of Celine to disturb the kid, and Shin expected it would work, but then, Celine easily snapped the fly and she successfully completed number 2 of her plan for the day to become a hero. Since she completed number 1 and 2 of her plans, Shin was so upset since the only thing left was Celine's stamina training to complete everything. He smiled as he believed there was no need for him to worry about the third agenda of Celine. Celine made a drawing of a mountain and informed her dad she would climb the mountain by tomorrow. Celine told him the route she would take in advance, which would be straight ahead from their village entrance, and then take a left so he could find a speed bump in the front side. The day after, Shin ordered his minions to block the way to the mountain. They put a repelling barrier, demonic monsters on the bush, and a stone increases 10 times when touched. They also put a note that the road is under construction. The place had lots of various obstacles on her path. Celine prepares to climb the mountain. She bids goodbye to her father and Shin, then also tells her to be careful along the way. He was laughing while his daughter was leaving as he believed no one would complete the route. After Celine came out, she found out that it was raining. That is why she decided to train at home since she doesn't have another choice. Today's training is done, she uttered after an hour of training. She completed her number 3 plan and all the plans of Shin and the other demons ended in failure. Celine's training to become a hero continued even after that. And time flew by. Celine was accepted into a hero academy at the age of 16. She transformed herself into a different lady, exactly like a hero. That dreaded day finally arrived, which Shin doesn't want to happen. When Celine nearly became a hero, Shin cried and hugged her. Celine thought he cried only because he was happy with what she achieved. Aside from that, he cried because Celine needed to leave home since Hero Academy is actually a boarding school. Celine touched his face while he was crying, telling him to stop. Still, Shin can't stop his sadness. To calm him down, Celine promised to visit him during the holidays. Shin agreed, but he was still in pain, so he cried more and more. That day, Luke came to their home just to send armor to the lady so the lady wouldn't need to worry about getting hurt. But then, Celine refused to wear it. Both of you worry too much. I may look like this, but I was accepted into the academy via recommendation, Celine stated. Celine looked at the clock and found out that it was about time. She immediately bids goodbye to both Shin and Luke, and both men are crying knowing that Celine has grown too fast and can now handle herself on her own. Celine was too excited by the fact that this time was the beginning of her journey to becoming a hero. After Celine left, both men then went to their demon castle. Luke then reported to Shin that he received news of a hero who recently invaded the Crota area. This hero broke through the Canyon of Death all by himself and is said to be making his way through the Plane of Silence. However, judging from this hero's travel direction, Luke believes that this man is heading to their demon castle. While Luke was discussing, Shin was not responding at all. Luke suggested he take a short break, but Shin's eyes suddenly glared at him, which made him frightened. Shin's aura comes out from his body, so Luke immediately apologizes as he thought he angered the Demon King. But then, Shin turned out to be disturbed by the thought that his daughter Celine might be bullied at the Hero Academy. He was worried for the sake of his daughter as he heard the use of violence, which is quite extreme at the academy. Luke then told him that he guessed Celine would be fine in the academy. He then cleared his throat and continued to discuss the matter about the hero who wanders around the Crota area, likely with the intention of finding valuable items to snatch for money. Still, Shin wasn't listening as he was busy looking at the photo of Celine, saying that he has a cute daughter, which made Luke think that Shin really was not listening to him. Well, at least he seems to have some skill, seeing how he's moving around the Crota area alone, Shin stated. He flinched as he remembered Luke mentioned that this hero was a skilled hero. According to Luke, among those who have invaded the Crota area, this hero definitely belongs to the stronger ones. But for whatever reason, he managed to break through the demon's defense line and made it as far as the Crota area. While explaining, Luke was full of anger and suddenly activated his flaming skill, burned the paper he was holding, and screamed, "The Demon Corps commander who let him tarnish the Demon King's honor will take responsibility." But then, he was cut off when Shin said there was no need for it. Shin stood and recalled that Luke said this hero was really currently on the Plane of Silence. "I should go and check him out myself," he added. After several hours, Celine was still riding the carriage heading to the Hero Academy. She was sleeping deeply, not until the carriage stumbled to a rock. Her sleep was destroyed and she found she was the only passenger left. He was carrying his sword and immediately told the coachman that she needed to get off. She panicked, so she accidentally destroyed the roof of the carriage since it was only made of wood. The coachman was shocked and Celine didn't deny that she caused the trouble. The coachman then ordered her to compensate the damage and Celine answered yes, despite that her money would only be enough for her expenses. At this moment, she's already at the Shallows Kingdom, which is also the city of all heroes, Arca. Celine entered with excitement since this was a part of her dream. "I've finally reached the city of the Hero Academy. This is the start of Hero Celine's adventures," Celine uttered. But her excitement was gone when her tummy growled. She decided to eat and suddenly smelled food nearby. She followed the smell and found out that it came from the smell of bread. The buttery and sweet smell reminds her of a soft crumb, and crunchy crust reminds her of the same bread she always ate. When she gets near, she realizes that she's right, it's a honey butter baguette. There is also a salted butter roll which makes her more hungry. The chef of the store then called the next customer in line, and it was Celine. She was drooling while staring at the food in front of her, and the chef believed she was already so hungry. The chef asked what she wanted, and before she could answer, she checked her wallet first, but unfortunately, she didn't have anything left. She then realizes that she had used all of her money just to compensate the carriage owner. She was so sad as she told the store owner that she would come back again next time. As she was walking, she felt so dizzy. She was holding her tummy since she really felt so hungry, and she felt she might faint from hunger. All of a sudden, a cat carrying bread passes through her. The first thing she noticed was the bread, so she followed the cat and saw that there was a young boy feeding cats in the street. The boy said that there was still more bread left, so he would divide it into the 3 cats in front of him. There is a white cat, a black cat, and a brown cat. They meowed, and Celine did the same thing. She also meowed just to catch the attention of the young boy. This is what hunger makes her do. The young boy was shocked by her actions, but he understood that Celine also felt hungry. After a while, Celine already ate a lot because of the boy's help. There's still bread in her while she was asking the boy if it's really alright for her to eat lots of the bread. The boy answered yes, since Celine also ate most of the bread. They were both sitting, and Celine was very glad that she felt alive again after eating. She then gave thanks to the boy and said that he was really a nice guy. The boy blushed and he was stuttering as he said he was not. Celine then asked about his age, since she believed this kid was also around her age. The boy seemed to be shy and he answered 16. Celine then said she knew it and told him that they both should be friends since she's also 16. You want to be friends just because we're the same age? The boy asked, and Celine answered, of course. Plus, you shared your bread with me. The boy seemed to be not happy at all. At this time, Celine noticed something in his inner pocket. But they didn't have the chance to talk about it since there were people who came, and the lady called him by the name, Silber. Silber immediately stood and apologized to the lady, addressing her as Miss. Silber then told Celine that he needed to go. He walked away while Celine still wanted to ask more questions, but she could not force the boy to stay a little bit longer. The boy then leaves together with the lady. When did you start spending time with people of lower status? We still have a lot to prepare. We're late, let's hurry. The lady said. And Silber answered, yes, mother. While they were leaving, Celine was staring at them. She knew that the envelope she saw from Silber had the seal belonging to the Hero Academy, so she smiled, believing that she and Silber would meet once again soon. She then stood and stretched her body. She grips his sword and says that she should now head to the Hero Academy. While she was leaving, Silber took a glimpse of her. Meanwhile, at the Hero Academy, lots of students were already outside. There was an old man checking the people from the window and saying that there are a lot of students worth keeping an eye on this term. He was the academy's headmaster. He was checking the hero candidate and found the presence of Dom's mage family from the Shallows King. There was also a girl with pink hair sitting on the man's shoulder. She's Ronia de Raffles, the Count Raffles' genius mage daughter. The man below her is Ronan, his guardian. A man with flaming power and a scar on his eye is also present. He belongs to one of the big 4 mercenary groups, the Valiant Mercenary Group, and a rank mercenary named Harcus. A former Saintess candidate was also present. She's Chloe de Archabeth. There were also the students belonging to powerful species, Leo from the Wolf tribe, Sean from the Dark Elf, and Olaf from the Dwarf. From the Luotin Kingdom swordsman family, Lebek d'Ains, Duke Ain's second son, was also present. The coordinator was searching for more known people and then saw Silber. Silber de Jin, Duke of Jin's son, the true power behind the Luotin Kingdom. The old man was staring at Silber, then saw someone heading to the kid. He was so confused the moment he saw Lebek. Yo, who is this? Aren't you my longtime friend, Silber? Lebek said, and hearing his voice made Silber startled and nervous upon seeing him. Lebek is with his friends his age, and they said that there is a rumor about Silber entering the Hero Academy. But why did you enter the academy? Were you always this interested in heroes? Lebek asked. Silber was still nervous to answer. Lebek then concludes that Silber is thinking about becoming the next family head after making a name for himself as a hero. Silber didn't give any response. He remained silent while the three men made fun of him and even said that he wasn't fit to be a hero as he was the son of a concubine. Silber was sad listening to their accusation, but he cannot even fight for himself. You might be from the Jin family, but you're practically viewed as non-existent within your own family. The man said, and they all laughed. You are nothing more than a puppet, bidding to your greedy mother's every whim, you idiot. Lebek uttered, which made Silber cry. All of a sudden, Celine came. Running too fast and stomped at Lebek while saying that she was now safe. Silber was trembling in fear, thinking that Lebek must have gone mad because of Celine's humiliation. Celine was very calm and even dared to joke around that she might have run into something. She greeted Silber while Silber asked her to get off from Lebek first. The people around witnessed what happened and even the academy's coordinator saw it with his own eyes. He wondered who this student was who dared to humiliate Lebek. He checked the student's information and found out Celine's paper. In her paper, she was only a commoner recommended by someone named Baron, a girl who sent the second son of a swordsman family flying with one hit, Celine, from the countryside. At the same time in the Demon King's territory, Shin already found the hero who invaded the Krata area. The hero was eager to fight against him. He jumped towards Shin, aiming to end Shin's life, but then he flew away after Shin hit him once. He lay down on the ground and was unconscious. Shin doubts that this was the skilled hero Luke mentioned since it seemed like this guy wasn't strong enough. Shin tried to wake the hero up since he was planning to order this guy to do something for him. The Annie's ducal family are the co-founders of the Luotin Kingdom, a family of swordsmen that has brought forth competent knights. As the second son of such a prestigious family, his natural talent for swordsmanship had made him someone who met all expectations. However, this time, someone humiliates him, which is Celine. He was so mad, asking him who dared to insult him in front of everyone. He was dumbfounded the moment he discovered that it was a girl who attacked him. He cannot believe that he was knocked by a lady in just one hit. Silber and Celine held hands while Silber asked her why she was here. Celine then informs him that she's a new student in this hero academy. Silber then said that he was surprised by everything, including how Celine attacked Lebek. Celine then heard Lebek call her angrily. What are you? Lebek asked. And Celine thought this would be her new friend, so she said her name. Nobody asks for your name. You must have a reason for suddenly running at me like that. Lebek said while pulling Celine's cape. Celine then realizes that Lebek is the one she ran into a moment ago. She told Lebek that she only thought it was just a fly since she didn't feel much resistance. Lebek felt insulted. Celine's words seemed to be pierced in his chest. He was so annoyed that he was like a fly to Celine. He then called his two friends and asked their opinion as he believed Celine was picking a fight with him. She should be scolded for fearlessly picking a fight with you. Isn't that right, Marco? His friend Nord replied. But then, Marco didn't give an answer since he was mesmerized by the beauty of Celine. His face blushed as he was staring at the lady. His perspective is that Celine is the most pretty and brave girl in this academy. He fell in love in an instant, so Nord told him to get a grip. At the same time, Lebek was disappointed and told himself that he shouldn't have expected anything from the beginning. Silber interferes, telling Lebek that everything is only a mistake, so he must let go of Celine. But then, Lebek didn't like his idea and asked him when he had the guts to be able to stand his way. I think I have to educate you properly first. Lebek added. But Chloe came in their middle and told them to stop arguing. She then grabbed both men and leaned their cheeks on her breasts, while saying that they couldn't have their future heroes fighting each other on their very first day. She told them both to get along. But both men stayed away from her and Lebek thought this lady was crazy. Lebek asked who she was and Chloe then answered that she was the apostle of Irene, goddess of peace, Chloe D. Alchabeth. She told them to address her Chloe. Lebek was staring at her, realizing that Chloe was the Holy See of Rudin's Saintess candidate. At this moment, he wondered how this lady ended up at this hero academy. Chloe then told them to make up since the welcome ceremony was about to begin. "Yo, Silber, let's have a talk when we have time," Lebic said, and looked back to Celine telling her the same. He then walked away with Nord and Marco, leaving Chloe in annoyance for not listening to her. After a few minutes, one of the academy's instructors called everyone's attention. "Good job coming here from all over the continent. I'm Instructor Musad. I'll be conducting your level test," Instructor Musad stated. Celine seemed to be clueless, but luckily, a man suddenly came beside her at a fast speed, believing that Celine didn't have any idea about the level test. His name is Wigan, and according to him, the level test is just as the name says, a test to evaluate their individual skills and rank them. It could be bronze, it could be silver, it could be gold, it could be platinum, or even a diamond, which is a total of 5 ranks. He also added that the higher the rank they receive, the bigger the pool of divisions they can choose from. The exact evaluation of criteria is at the discretion of the instructors, but your fighting judgment and cooperation skills are important evaluation factors. And failing the test means that their acceptance is cancelled, so they must keep it on their mind, as per Wigan. "What? You're asking what the divisions are?" he said, but then as per Celine, she didn't ask about it. Still, Wigan decided to explain it to Celine, as he really believed Celine was curious. At the same time, the other students around were shocked by the level test, since they were only expecting to have a welcome ceremony. Musad told them all that they had received the right to be in this academy through a recommendation by a trustworthy person or a separate selection process. However, he only believes in the things he has seen with his very own eyes. He said that if these students officially want to enter the Hero Academy, they have to personally prove their qualifications to become a hero. He suddenly jumped on the ground and broke the ground instantly. He then stood and instructed students to leave all their belongings, except for their equipment, and follow him. Everyone followed his command and heard him add that they could take their belongings and go back home once they could not prove themselves that they could be a hero. Musa then stopped nearby and activated 5 portals. He declared that the first test would be a dungeon clearing. According to him, these 5 portals each lead to a mine, a forest, a plain, a fortress, or an underground labyrinth. These 5 are known as virtual dungeons, as per Mu said. The test will be conducted in teams. Forming a good and balanced team is an ability a hero needs to have. Within a time span of 10 minutes, they must get together in teams of 4 and decide on the dungeon they want to challenge. After Musta gave them instructions, Celine, Silber, and Chloe decided to team up, but they still needed one. Silber got nervous with both Chloe and Celine as his teammates. Chloe held his face and asked him if he didn't like them as his team. "No, that's not what I meant. We haven't even introduced ourselves to one another and we don't know anything about each other," Silber replied. Chloe and Celine immediately introduced themselves and Silber did the same thing. The 3 then discussed who would be their last member, but at the same time, Silber wanted to discuss each other's skills and specialty, as he believed that in that way they could choose a dungeon and develop a rough strategy of how they can best deal with the dungeon. Since he felt too shy to give his opinion, he decided to deduce everything from their weapons. First is Celine. He noticed Celine's great sword, and based on the strength she demonstrated earlier with Levick, Silber believes she's perfect as a vanguard. Next is Chloe, a saintess whom he believes would fulfill the role of a support. Silber was calculating their team balance so that he could say what position they needed the most. But then, before he could think, he heard both Celine and Chloe say that their 4 spots were filled. It was the dark elf, Sean. Finally, their team has been completed, consisting of Celine, Chloe, Silber, and Sean. Lastly, they need to pick a portal. She picked it using Eeny Meeny Miny Moo, which annoys Silber the most. They then entered and must have found out that this team was at the fortress dungeon. It can be cleared easily if one has the eye for it. But there's no straightforward solution. The clear condition in this dungeon is to defeat the lord of the fortress. Celine was so excited knowing that the level test had finally begun. But on the other hand, Silber was very nervous. He asked Celine if she had a plan, and Celine screamed as she answered, "We enter the fortress, find the lord, and kill him." Silber turned his head around as they noticed something. They saw a gate and Silber tried to think of a plan. He concludes that the creek is flowing towards the fortress and he believes they can infiltrate the castle by following the waterway, then find the Lord and kill him. He widely smiled as he was about to say his plan, but he was cut off when Celine suddenly disappeared. He asked where Celine was and Chloe then pointed to the area where it was heading. Celine was holding his sword, headed to the gate. She jumped so high and lifted up her sword. The monster instantly saw Celine and wondered what she was trying to do. Celine was screaming while aiming at the gate. For Silber, there's no way Celine could break down the gates with a sword. But surprisingly, Celine managed to make it. Silber was jaw-dropping while Sean remained silent. At the same time, Chloe was very proud to see Celine's ability. "I cleared the way. Come on," Celine said. But Silber suddenly got nervous and told Celine to look behind her. Celine was confused as to why, without knowing that there were hundreds of monsters behind her. The monsters headed to Celine and Celine was startled to see lots of monsters. On the other hand, Silber understood that Celine is extremely powerful, but now he cannot deny that enemies are overwhelming in number. He was nervous, unlike Chloe. Chloe tied her hair while smiling and said that it was now her time to step forward. She winked at Silber and Silber smiled at her and said that he would leave the supporting spells in her hands. But then, he was shocked when Chloe used a knuckle to fight. He was so confused and panicked upon seeing Chloe heading to the monster to fight. The monsters were so mad by the fact that the humans destroyed the fortress wall. But, they were all positive that they could defeat Celine since they never expected Celine to have companions. Celine then charged at the monster in front of her while saying that she would use a secret technique. She cast a great sword swing and hit several monsters. The monster flew away and Celine continued to attack. He then heard someone informing her that there was a monster behind her to look behind. A goblin was aiming at her with a mace and proudly said he got a human. Celine closed her eyes since it was too close, but lucky for her Chloe appeared and attacked the goblin to save Celine. "You're supposed to say that after you actually get them," Chloe said. Celine was looking at her and she then said that she came to help her. Celine then smiled back at her and continued to fight the monsters. Celine used her consecutive swing secret technique, and while they were fighting, neither Silber nor Sean didn't have a plan to help. Sean even sleeps deeply despite that she is standing. After a few minutes of fighting, Celine noticed someone huge behind him. "Who dares to destroy my fortress?" The gigantic monster asked who Celine believed was the lord of the fortress. She then charged to the fortress lord and cast her a secret technique. The fortress lord was dumbfounded and Celine then attacked him with her jump and slammed down the great sword technique. The fortress lord was dumbfounded and Celine then attacked him with her jump and slammed down the great sword technique. In just one attack, the fortress lord fell to the ground and admitted that Celine really had a powerful secret technique. Since this lord was easily defeated by Celine, Celine then concludes that he is not the fortress lord. The minions of the fortress lord were telling their ruler that Celine's attack wasn't a secret technique at all. On the other hand, Instructor Musad and Silber were both surprised to see Celine easily defeat the lord of the fortress. Elimination of the lord of the fortress is easily completed, and the fortress dungeon has been cleared. Celine instantly challenged the lord by breaking down the fortress gates. After clearing the dungeon, the four immediately exited. Their team was the first one who cleared the test, and even Musad was speechless since it was his first time seeing a strategy similar to the strategy of Celine. He was staring at Celine, wondering about her information. At the same time in the demon's castle, Luke reported to Shin that the hero finally woke up. At this moment, the team of Lebec was facing the boss of the plain dungeon, King Lycanthrope. Lycanthrope roared in anger for invading his dungeon. The four were calm while planning on how to defeat Lycan. Nord suggested they must surround Lycan in a square formation, but then Lebec doesn't have any plans to listen at all. He instantly charged at Lycan without any words and attacked Lycan with his Blitzhau technique. Lebec killed Lycan in an instant, which surprised the three companions of Lebec surprised. After that, the elimination of King Lycan has been completed and the plain dungeon has been cleared. They then exited the portal, and the people who had witnessed how Lebec killed King Lycan in one strike were all impressed. Lebec at the same time proudly walked as he expected that the first place of dungeon clearing belonged to him. But upon checking the board, he saw that the first who cleared a dungeon was Seleni's team, which was around 5 minutes and 26 seconds. The second team is Levik's team and Ronia's team, which was a tie around 5 minutes and 40 seconds clear time. Levik was so upset that he was in second place. He looked on his side as he heard Selene showing how happy she was for being in first place. Second place on the first test, that's a good start. Nord said, it's all thanks to Levik. Marco added, Levik suddenly lifted up Nord by the neck as he didn't like how Nord casually said it's a good start for them as a second placer. Someone like Silber was ranked higher than us and you call it a good start. Thanks to me, he said with anger. Nord then told him that what was in his mind wasn't what meant to say. Levik then warned him to watch his words and remember the one who brought him all this way here. He then dropped Nord on the ground and Nord was trembling in pain while saying sorry to Levik. Levik really felt he was insulted by his comrades for being the second placer. He cannot accept that Selene and Silber are above his place. He walked towards Selene and Selene turned her head on her side since she felt someone heading to her. It was Levik, but Ronia was also with her and they both pointed their finger at Selene. They were confused and looked at each other. At the same time, Selene wondered what's the problem of both Ronia and Levik. In the end, Levik and Ronia pointed their fingers at each other and asked the same question of what they wanted to happen. I have something to talk about with her, so don't disturb us and piss off, you yellow fly. Ronia angrily answered, my matter is more urgent, so you should piss off, kid. Levik said, Ronia feels that she was pierced when Levik called her a kid. She becomes mad but Levik dares to repeat it. Ronia was full of anger against Levik, so she activated her power and angrily asked Levik if she really looked like a kid to him. She charged at Levik with her flame and tried to attack him, but surprisingly, Selene was able to block her and Levik and stop them from arguing. She told them not to fight, but both Levik and Ronia were dumbfounded by the fact that Selene stopped their magic and sword. At this moment, someone pulled Ronia. It was Roman, her guardian. Oh my, it seems like our Ronia caused you some trouble. I apologize, Roman said, and Ronia was mad at him, asking him what he was doing. She kept on ordering Roman to put her down while punching his cheek, but Roman refused to follow her. Ronia pointed at Selene and gave Selene a warning that she would take the first place next time. Roman then puts a lollipop to Ronia's mouth to make her stop blabbering, but she still talks, telling Roman that she won't get away with him next time. They then walked away while Chloe giggled to see Ronia's cuteness. On the other hand, Len Nick was scratching his head inside. He then told Selene to enjoy being the first place as he believed it would be the first and last of Selene. He also concludes that the next tasks will bring different results. Selene only looked at him without giving any response. Levik then stared at Silber and Silber trembled in fear. Levik walked away while telling Silber to make sure to make a good team. The worst thing he said to Silber is that Silber would be a nuisance from the other team members' perspective. Silber as usual didn't give any response. Levik then walked away without Selene and Chloe, knowing that Silber was mistreated by Levik once again. After an hour, Mused congratulates everyone for finishing the first level test. He then showed the results to everyone and said that all the teams who didn't manage to pass this test would have their acceptance cancelled immediately. But luckily, no teams failed in the first level test as per Mused. Everyone felt relief and Mused then started to move forward to the next task. According to him, the result of the next task will be different. Selene, Levik, and Ronia were waiting for the declaration of the second test. And as per Mused, the second test would be to capture the flag. Let's go back to the demon's castle for now. The captured hero woke up and found himself in an unfamiliar place. He was checking the surroundings, wondering where he was. He then heard the demon's voice asking him if he was finally awake. The hero immediately stood and was startled to see a demon right in front of him, sitting on the throne. Shin was just staring at him, and he then recalled that it was Shin who beat him earlier. Now, he discovered that Shin is indeed a high-level demon. Shin then said that he was a higher-level demon, not just a high-level demon. The hero then asked if he was a top-level demon, and Shin told him that it was higher than the top-level demon. The hero said that Shin might be one of the 4 heavenly demons, but Shin still told him higher. He then said that he now finally knew. You're the one who has to follow all kinds of orders from the cruel and hot-headed Demon King. The assistant of the Demon King whose efforts are never acknowledged, Luke. The hero stated while pointing his index finger to Shin. At this moment, Shin believes that this hero is just pretending not to know him. Alright, why has the mighty Demon King captured me? The hero asked. Shin then directly answered that it was because he had a deal to offer. A deal with the devil. So that's what this is. The hero uttered. He then asked Shin what happened once he declined. Shin didn't say any response, but he raised his fist and beat up the man once again. Since the hero cannot fight back, he decides to accept Shin's offer. Shin then showed the picture of his daughter to the hero and proudly said that his daughter was very pretty. At the same time in the Hero Academy, they went to a different location to do the second test. Muzad was holding an artifact and told the students that each team would receive this artifact for them to be able to see a map with the location of the flags upon activation. Only by bringing it to the designated place will it count as capturing a flag. Each red dot represents a flag. Since this map is kept up to date, it shouldn't be hard to find the flags as per instructor Muzad. Each team has to collect at least a total of 4 flags to pass the test. Celine and her team were too excited, hoping to get first place again. One student raised his hand and said that the number of flags seemed a bit low compared to the number of students. Muzad was glad that someone noticed it. According to him, there are 120 students and 80 total flags. Only 80 students will pass the test. All 40 students who don't capture a flag will fail. Their admission will be revoked and they can pack their things and go home as per Mused. The students got nervous knowing that 40 students to be revoked was too much. Instructor Mused then permitted them to ask more questions, but no one dared to ask, so he believed everything had been cleared to everyone. But, after a few seconds, the O-rank mercenary, Marcus, raised his hand. Mused then allowed him to speak and he asked if killing is allowed in this second test. Celine gets terrified by the question of Marcus and everyone stares at Marcus in confusion. Mused at the same time questions him why he wants to know. And Marcus then said that he was just asking if there is a penalty for killing someone to take their flag. This test is about taking and getting flags taken. So there is no penalty for doing that. Mused said. He got off the stage and walked towards Harcus. However, seeing how you're thinking about killing someone nonchalantly, I'm beginning to doubt your qualification to become a hero. Musa added. Harcus then told him not to worry as he was just asking since he believed all sorts of tragic accidents could happen during this capture the flag test. Musa then understood his point and went back to the stage. Still, Selene was scared as he detected Harcus as a villain. She remained silent while staring at Harcus, not until Wigan abruptly came to her to explain the information about Harcus, as he felt that Selene was very curious about Harcus. According to Wigan, Harcus is an O-rank mercenary and the team leader of the respected Valiant Mercenary Group's 4th team. To put it simply, he is a capable and skilled individual. Moreover, since he can wield almost all kinds of weapons, he is also referred to as Weapon Master Harcus. He is quite respected among the mercenaries as he values loyalty and trust highly. But he's incredibly cold-hearted and cruel. He would use any means necessary to achieve his goal, and no sword or tears could stop him. Wigan believes that Harcus is someone whom Selene doesn't want to meet and someone she should keep an eye on. There are also other individuals she should pay attention to as per Wigan. It would be the Sonic Whip Isna and the Absolute Defense, Immuna sisters. Not just them, but also the undefeated gladiator Geladon. There is also a slightly stupid engineer named Abigail. Wigan continued explaining, not knowing that the second test had started. Everyone moved as fast as they could while Silber asked his teams where they should go. Selene then answered that they were going to go to the forest. Silber was confused, so Selene told him that it was easier to take the direct way. Besides, she believes that planes allow them to prepare for any potential battles. Silber then said that the forest was too dense for Selene to comfortably wield her greatsword technique. Selene then asks him why it would be a problem, and Silber then concludes that it probably won't matter for Selene at all. While they were moving, they saw the team of Levick who was following the team of Ronia to settle what happened earlier. When Celine looked on the other side, she also saw the team of Ronia. Celine then immediately thinks of a way and then suddenly realizes that this is what rivalry means. Silber and Chloe have different reactions after Celine finally realizes what rivalry means. They suddenly saw a flag, so they headed to the flag's direction. And there were also other teams aiming to get it. But then, Celine ran too fast and screamed, "First come, first serve." Chloe admired Celine for running too fast, while Silber was annoyed by the fact that Celine won't wait for them and just run on her own. At the same time, someone screamed so loud coming from the tunnel. It was a wounded man asking for mercy from Harcus. But then, Harcus killed him. Harcus then headed to another man. It was the undefeated gladiator, Gelidin. Gelidin was trembling in fear while asking Harcus why he was killing everyone in his team. He thought that it was because of a flag, but then Harcus broke the flag and unleashed his double sword and killed Gelidin helplessly. After killing him, Harcus doesn't even feel any guilt. After a few minutes, Celine's team was at the testing site. Silber was reaching for something in a tree hole and was surprised after getting another flag from the hole. He was so happy while he was sitting at the shoulder of Chloe. Chloe could not believe that Silber really found a flag in the tree, and Celine also asked him how he knew there was a flag there. As per Silber, he had a friend who told him about it. Celine was shocked as she thought Silber was cheating. Silber then said that it was not what he meant. Celine was confused not until Silber summoned a spirit. Celine got excited knowing that spirits are fairy-like beings that frequently appear in hero sagas. The spirit flies away and Celine waves goodbye and concludes that Silber is a spiritist. Silber then said that it's not really, since he hasn't formed a contract with the spirit yet. Still, Celine was amazed by him as he was so close to being a spiritist. She called Silber as Sil, so Silber got surprised and asked her if he heard it right. Celine answered yes and explained that Sil is short of Silber. Silber then understood but was still surprised since it was his first time being called by someone in a different way. "Since we're friends, it's nice to give each other nicknames," Celine said. Silber's face blushed and suddenly walked away to avoid Celine seeing him blush. Chloe and Celine then talked about the spirit and Celine found out that it's a special ability since Chloe told her that it's rare for spirits to listen to humans. While they were busy talking, a raindrop poked at the head of Sean. Sean then looked at the sky and found out that the sky was getting darker. Chloe then feels that the rain could start pouring any time. Silber was not aware that it was about to rain since he was still imagining how Celine called him Sil. Celine went to him and asked if they already had 3 flags. Silber then answered yes. They found one when Lebek's team faced Ronia's team. Both teams fought earlier, so Celine got a way to steal 1 flag from them. The second flag they got was because of Chloe. Chloe used her Holy Spirit while blocking 2 students, telling them they would be granted a blessing by the goddess of peace, Irene, if they would hand over the flag to her. But then the 2 men won't surrender the flag. But in the end, both men were beaten up and Chloe got the flag from them. And the third flag is the flag Silber got from the tree, which leaves them 1 more to go. Their team was cheering, aiming for the completion of this second test. They continued to explore the place to search for 1 more flag. After 30 minutes, they found nothing. They already walked for 30 minutes despite that it was raining, but unfortunately didn't get another one. Luckily, Silber saw nearby using the artifact he was holding. They followed the map until they arrived at a tunnel. They then headed inside and Chloe said this tunnel was perfect for them to escape the rain as well. Silber was nervous and wanted to stop them all from entering without making sure that it was safe inside. But then, the 3 had entered. Chloe then activates a holy light to lighten up the area. She also casts spell buffs to maintain their body temperature. Upon staying for a minute, they were glad that it was quite chilly inside the cave while their body felt warm. They then call Silber to go with them, and Silber realizes that Chloe is a priestess. He decided to come with them since they were a team, and as they were exploring the tunnel, Silber put a sign everywhere to make sure they could still go out. Celine asked him about it, so he told Celine that he was marking the paths they had already taken so they could prevent themselves from getting lost in this cave. He informed Celine that marking a path is a basics of exploration. Celine then decided to do it too. Instead of marking an X, Celine drew her own face and put her name as a sign that she already got to this cave. Silber was surprised as it was unusual to see someone draw her face to use it as a mark. After walking for more minutes, they found water. There are also a bunch of things that look like icicles hanging from the ceiling, and as per Chloe, it's called stalactites. There is also a similar looking thing rising from the ground, and Chloe then said it's called stalagmites. And according to her, if these two are connected, then it's called a stone pillar. While they were discussing, Silber was just looking at them, and both Chloe and Celine were happy exploring the cave. They walked more and saw something. Chloe was about to explain what it was, but when they got closer, they realized that these were corpses. The people that were killed by Harcus earlier. Celine and her team got terrified. At the other part of the tunnel, Hubert was waiting for his men to give a report to him. A red-haired lady came and informed him that demonic beasts were currently being summoned throughout the testing site according to Paraben's orders. The hero candidates are being attacked and the number of casualties is increasing. The bald man with Harcus then asked him what's their next plan. And as per Harcus, since the demonic beasts have appeared, the Academy will try to get the situation under control, so he decided to keep the people that the Academy deployed occupied so that the demonic beasts can take down all of the hero candidates when the time they bring them. Another man came and reported to him that there were some hero candidates who found their way into this cave. Harcus immediately activates his dimensional bead that can see a desired place. He then found Celine's team inside the cave. There is no time to waste. Let's take care of them quickly and get moving. Harcus uttered, and he and his team immediately moved, heading in the direction of Celine's team. At the Hero Academy, the Academy's head has deployed all available instructors but still feels anxious because of the instructors' low numbers. Someone knocked on the door of his office and he wondered who it was. He immediately ran to the door and was about to open it. But then, the man instantly opened the door without asking permission, so the head ended up stuck behind the door. "It's been a while, Headmaster," the man uttered. But then, the head was in pain and was annoyed, but his mood instantly changed knowing that this man was a hero. He's Grave, the hero who invaded the demon's castle, and the one who made a deal with Shin, the Demon King. Going back to Celine's point of view, their team checked the corpses and found out that it hasn't been too long since these people died. Chloe also checks the weapon that was used to kill one of the dead men, and Silber then says that it must be the doing of a weapon-wielding master, but then Chloe disagreed with him since they didn't come across any traces of a monster, and monsters also don't have the skill to craft such fine arrows in the first place. Because of the arrow, she believes that the killer is surely a human. Moreover, it was done by a person whose goal was not the flag. Silber was shocked since someone came up on his mind. All of a sudden, Celine deflected the arrow that almost hit Silber. Silber got terrified the moment he confirmed that the killer was really Harcus and his team and were also the one who tried to attack him. That's an impressive reaction speed. The archer stated, "So you were behind all of this? Why are you doing this?" Celine asked. And the man with Hubert replied, "You're quite curious for someone who will soon turn into a cold corpse." The lady archer named Trish then added that they will think of telling them if they would kneel like a dog and beg them. She said that Celine's team would not understand the divine message from Paraben, but before she could complete her words, Harcus squeezed her face and told her to stop spitting useless words. Trish then apologizes to him, but it's too late since Celine's team already heard clearly what she said. Since Trish mentioned the Paraben, Chloe believes that Harcus and his team are from a dark religion. Sean was shocked upon hearing it, and on the other hand, Harcus didn't respond, but Chloe took his silence as a yes. Celine asked her about the information of the dark religion, and according to Chloe, this religion is a heretic group worshipping demons. They roamed the lands committing all kinds of inhuman actions. Chloe also said that the Holy See of Rudin is trying to locate the dark religion's whereabouts, but she never thought she would meet a member in this academy she was entering. After explaining, Celine sums up everything and concludes that Harcus and his team were bad guys. "Now that you found out our identities, we really have no reason to let you live," Harcus stated, and unleashed his weapons and told Celine's team not to resent them too much. Celine still dared to smile and told Harcus that he should not be the one who would look down on them. But then, she was cut off when Sean jumped toward Harcus and pointed a dagger at him, proclaiming that she would kill the dark religion with her own hands. But then, Harcus hit her dagger, causing it to fly away. Shan was staring at Harcus, who tried to attack her, but she was able to jump backward, going to her dagger. Then, the comrade of Harcus instantly went behind her and aimed her sword, but then she blocked the man's sword as she was able to pick up her dagger. "You're smarter than I thought. I thought that you were just acting on emotions, but it seems like you have skills to rely on," the man stated. Shan was trembling while still blocking the man's sword. But unfortunately, she was arrowed by Trish and she was pierced from behind. Trish laughed and said, "Bullseye," and even told her that she must pay for her reckless actions. Shan was looking slightly at Trish, then Silber screamed, telling Shan to look above her. The fat bald man was above Shan, ready to attack her with a mace. He said that Shan can't avoid his mace. He then attacked Shan, and since he was near Shan didn't dare to move at all and only closed her eyes. Luckily, Celine deflected the mace and ended up hitting the fat bald man. The bald man fell on the ground, and at the same time, Shan was shocked to see Celine's bravery. "How dare you? I won't let you off easy after attacking my comrade," Celine angrily stated. The bald man's comrade was mad at Celine for attacking his companion, so they both fought each other with their swords. Silbra then went to Shan and told her that she must be treated. But then, Harcus attacked Shan with a chain and successfully bound her foot. Shan looked at him angrily, but then Harcus pulled the chain, causing Shan to fall on the ground. Silber doesn't like Harcus' behavior, and for him to save Shan, he gets his bow and attacks Harcus with it with the help of 3 spirits. While the arrow was heading to Harcus was shocked to see spirits from the arrow's sharp edge. Since he got puzzled, he was hit on his arm and the spirits immediately escaped. Harcus looked back to Shan, but Shan was already carried by Chloe. Chloe put down Shan in the corner, away from Harcus. She asked if Shan was fine, but then Shan pushed her away and walked while telling her not to mind her. She is very determined to kill Harcus' team, which makes Chloe conclude that Shan might be from Hayland Forest. Shan was shocked to hear Chloe's conclusion, since what Chloe said was true. She turned her head back a little and asked Chloe how she knew it. "I knew it. No wonder you reacted this way to the dark religion," Chloe said. Shan then asked her how much she knew and if she knew the investigator's name, but then their conversation was disturbed by Trish. Trish was aiming an arrow at them while saying that small talk is prohibited in a battle. Her arrows create a bright light, so Shan is sure that Trish is aiming at her. Then, both Silber and Celine were shocked the moment one of their comrades was hit by the arrow, and this time, it was Chloe instead of Shan, since Chloe blocked the arrow to protect Shan. "I'll tell you everything you want to know later, so try to get your emotions under control for now. Can you do that for me?" Chloe said, and Shan answered yes. At the same time, Trish was laughing so loud as it was funny to her, seeing Chloe hit by an arrow just to protect a comrade. She looked back to his comrades, but then she stopped laughing when she witnessed the scary aura of Celine while blocking the man's sword with only just one hand holding her huge sword. "You better be prepared, 'cause I'm really pissed right now," Celine said angrily. The man then went to his comrades and Celine headed towards them while still possessing a scary aura. The 3 were silent for a moment, but upon realization, they suddenly laughed and said, "We went along with you a little bit. And here you all think you're the shit, forgetting where you actually belong." Celine didn't give a response, but she still continued to walk towards her 3 opponents. She was staring at them with anger, and even Shan and Chloe knew that she was now really mad. An azure flame suddenly comes out from Celine's eyes, and she then attacks her opponents in just one slash, causing them to fall on the ground. Trish is still conscious and she's dumbfounded upon seeing Celine's unknown power. Celine stomped on her while lifting the sword, telling Trish to dodge, but Trish could not even move, and Celine then attacked the ground with the sword she was holding. Everyone witnessed Celine's strong power that caused the ground to crumble, and even her sis saw it with both eyes. Chloe and Silber at the same time were speechless, knowing that Celine took out the 3 members of the dark religion in just one blow. The 3 were knocked out, and at this moment, her sis approached Celine while clapping his hands, admitting that he looked down on Celine too much. He gets something from his cloth, and Chloe's eyes are then rounded since this thing is familiar to her. It was a purple stone, and he said he wasn't planning on using this on Celine, but he concludes he doesn't have a choice either. He possessed the power that comes from this stone by squeezing it, and a chain appeared on his body. Silber was terrified upon witnessing Harcus' body changes at this moment, and he believes Harcus possessed a demonic beast transformation. Silber is so scared, while Chloe besides him concludes that Harcus is using the demonic energy from the Mana Stone to transform himself into a demonic beast. She was annoyed by the fact that the people of the dark religion don't hesitate in the slightest to do these horrendous things. This won't be the same as it's been until now. Come at me with all you got, Harcus uttered. Selene charged at him without any fear. She was screaming, telling Harcus that there was no need to remind her since her intention is to attack Harcus regardless. She landed on the ground and attacked Harcus with all her force, but she was dumbfounded. The same as Chloe upon seeing that Hubert was unharmed after trying to hit him with her sword. As per Chloe, Selene may be strong, but without being able to use mana, Harcus is gonna keep using demonic energy to counter the shock. At this time, Chloe tried to reach the arrow on her back. Upon reaching it, she immediately broke it and told her companion that they couldn't keep watching without doing anything. She clenched her fist and her knuckles sparkled. She smiled at Sean, telling her that they must give Selene a hand. Harcus turned his head a little and saw Sean and Chloe dashing at him. Looking at Chloe makes him believe that this lady knows how to use mana. Chloe prepared her fist while screaming and then strongly punched Harcus multiple times, but then she wasn't able to hurt Harcus and she was shocked to see that her mana attack didn't work on him. This is how you deal with a blow, Harcus uttered and punched Chloe using his mana attack. His eyes flame and at the same time, Sean dashed to him, trying to slash him, but he still remained unharmed. Harcus belittled her and strongly hit her from the back, causing her to fly away. Harcus stared at Chloe and Sean, who were now unconscious, while saying, "What's the point of knowing how to use magic? What can injure little rats like you change by wriggling around?" Silber was shaking in fear upon seeing Harcus standing in front of him. He wanted to move for him to run away, but he could not even move his legs because of fear. Harcus attacked him with a sharp thing. Silber closed his eyes, asking himself if this would be his end. At the same time, he was hoping someone would come to save him. Luckily, Selene was able to get back her strength and surprisingly awakened her mana. She grips her sword and dashes to Harcus. She attacked Harcus strongly, causing Harcus to flee away while Silber was looking at him from below. Selene then reminded him that she wouldn't let it slide if he would mess with her comrades. Harcus was still fine after that. He said he couldn't believe Selene's mana awakened now of all times. He smirked and added that he guessed he was all out of luck today. He was smiling widely at Selene like an evil, and he said, "Now that the plan's gone completely stray already, let's have a proper fight, yeah." At the same time in the academy, Grave was planning how to do the Demon King's order. Grave also graduated from Hero Academy and became a hero. But not so long after, it became difficult to maintain a livelihood as a hero, so he quit his job to become a treasure hunter. He was doing pretty well on his own, not until the Demon King suddenly appeared and gave him a contract, coercing him into becoming his incarnate. And the conditions of the contract are, number 1, he must protect the Demon King's daughter, Selene, who is enrolled into the academy regardless of the circumstances. Number 2, if he senses any hesitation from Selene about becoming a hero, he should make her quit on her own. If he successfully fulfills these conditions, the Demon King will grant him a wish. From the academy, he entered the portal to follow Selene's whereabouts. While heading, he remembers that there is still one condition aside from the 2 conditions mentioned earlier. That is, he must not let Selene get even a scratch, knowing that the monsters had already appeared in the drilling hall. He then dashed as fast as he could to make sure that he could protect Selene at all costs. He entered into the cave, searching for Selene. He was nervous, thinking that he would get screwed if he arrived at Selene late. All of a sudden, an explosion happened nearby, so he ended up covered with ashes in his face. He cursed as he was annoyed, thinking that Selene might be in danger. At the deepest part of the cave, Silber was checking his 2 companions. Chloe was shaking in pain and there was lots of blood on her clothes because of her wounds. She and Sean lose too much blood, which worries Silber too much, knowing that there's nothing he can do right now. All of a sudden, an attack happened behind him. He turned his head around and saw a lot of damage. He looked at the fight between Selene and Harcus. He said that they have to equally battle against Harcus, but he was surprised upon seeing Selene leading against Harcus in terms of strength. As he was watching the battle, he noticed Chloe behind him moving. Chloe gets up despite that her body is still trembling in pain. Chloe then asked him if she lost consciousness for a while, but then she didn't wait for an answer from Silber since she saw the battle between Celine and Harcus. She was surprised to see Celine leading against Harcus. Silber then said that they don't have anything to worry about. He thought it was the end for them just a while ago, but surprisingly, Celine suddenly became a completely different person until now while fighting against Harcus. Silber was so happy, saying that Celine is now defeating the enemy on her own, and she believes Celine would win if her strength would continue until the end. His happiness was cut off the moment Chloe declared it was dangerous. Silber looked at the lady and wondered how come she said it was dangerous. Chloe was worried for Celine, knowing that Celine had no clue how to use magic. She believes that this incident seemed to awaken Celine's magic, but since Celine is only a beginner, she has no idea how to control it. That is why Chloe can say that Celine was excessively draining her magic and will soon exhaust it. Silber got nervous while asking Chloe if Celine would be at a disadvantage once more. Chloe then replied that it wasn't the reason why she said it was dangerous for Celine. According to her, people have body energy called stamina. However, when that stamina is exhausted, they end up collapsing. Aside from that, there is also mind energy called magic. And as she knew, the mind is the power that creates magic. But when one's magic is exhausted, Celine would possibly lose her mind. Upon knowing it, Silber got worried for Celine. Celine was still fighting against Harcus. Harcus almost hit her, but she managed to dodge. She turned her head around as she heard Silber calling her name. Silber tells her to end the battle as quickly as possible. He wants to give Celine a warning, but Celine looks back to Harcus since Harcus attacked her with some magic power. She luckily dodged it again, but she got a little scratch on her face. She slid backward while Harcus told her that she was being complacent to look elsewhere during a battle. He widely smiles and adds that Celine's complacency will come to an end now. Celine asked him what he would try to do now. But then, she suddenly flinched while staring at Harcus smiling at her. Celine unintentionally kneeled on the ground as she felt so weak. Her hands were trembling and she was wondering what was going on. Harcus took a step, heading towards her, and said, "You seem like a formidable opponent, but now you've ended up on your knees before me." He then controlled his chain and wrapped it around Celine's body. Someone screamed no and unleashed his sword. He immediately cut Harcus' arm, and Harcus was shocked upon seeing his cut arm. His attacker was standing right in front of Silber. Silber was surprised since they never expected someone would help them. At this time, Harcus' blood dropped on the ground. He was mad while asking for his attacker's identity. As expected, it was Grave. He dashes at Harcus and slashes all his arms to prevent him from attacking. After that, he puts back his sword since he already ended Harcus' life in an instant. Harcus fell on the ground in front of him, and seeing his strength makes Silber speechless. Grave then said, "Nice to meet you. I'm Instructor Grave, and I'm joining the academy as of today." After the commotion, he immediately checked Celine and tried to wake her up. And since Celine wasn't responding, he was nervous as he was afraid that the Demon King would do something to him once Celine died. He immediately brings back Celine to the academy and confines her to the infirmary. Celine's 3 comrades visited her the next day, but then the doctor could not say when Celine would wake up. The doctor concludes that Celine would wake up within a few days if she was only exhausted due to the use of a large amount of magic power, but Celine went beyond her limits and completely deleted her magic power, so dangerous might happen to her. Chloe then deduces that the doctor is trying to say that Celine might never wake up. Silber was shocked upon hearing it. The doctor then replied that even if Celine would woke up, she might never be able to use magic power again. Silber blamed himself, but Chloe tapped his back and told him that it wasn't his fault. Still, Silber was worried that Celine's ability to use magic power would be lost. Chloe then said that it won't happen. She asked the doctor's opinion, but then the doctor just said that Celine's fate is in the hands of God. Silber was shaking in fear that Celine would die, but Chloe was very positive, telling Silber that Celine would be fine soon. In addition, it has only been a day after the incident, so she believes Celine would probably wake up healthy and all their worries would seem excessive. Silber stares at her and agrees to her positivity. Chloe claimed that everything she said was right, and she encouraged her two comrades to greet Celine with a big smile once Celine woke up. Sean behind her was already smiling widely behind her. Silber at the same time also smiled and answered all right to Chloe. Chloe then grabbed them both to have lunch together. They were about to leave the infirmary to grab some food, but surprisingly, Celine overheard them and immediately got up the moment she heard her three companions grab food to eat. "Let's go and eat food," she said with excitement. She asked where the food was while the three paused upon seeing her wake up. Sean then answered that the food was in the dining hall and Selena immediately ran, leaving her companions and the doctor in shock. "Didn't you say that she was in a serious condition?" Chloe asked, but even the doctor didn't know how it happened. Chloe ordered lots of food and finished everything in a short span of time. After eating it all, she feels so alive. Her companions are with her and Silber believes Selena was starving. Chloe then informed him that this was Celine's first meal since yesterday, so it's understandable for her to act like this. She also acknowledged Celine for being so amazing despite what happened to her. "By the way, who would have thought that Instructor Glove would come to the rescue after I fell unconscious?" Celine said, and Silber then reminded her that it wasn't Instructor Glove, but should be Instructor Grave. At this moment, Silber and Chloe heard the words of the other students. While Celine was still eating her dessert, she asked them what was wrong. Silber and Chloe just turned their heads around, and Celine then also heard how afraid the students were after their second test. Some blamed themselves for what happened to their comrades and some also wanted to leave the academy and just go back home. "Why does everyone seem so down? Did something happen?" Celine asked. Silber looked so sad as he informed Celine that when they encountered the dark religion yesterday, demonic beasts were roaming around the test site and attacking the students. Celine was shocked upon knowing that there were some demonic beasts who appeared, and she wondered how. As per Silber, used mana stones were discovered all over the test site. The academy assumes that the Dark Order used these mana stones to summon the demonic beasts. They were really bad guys. Just why did they do all of that? Celine asked. As per Chloe, everyone except Harkus was captured alive. Those people will be handed over to the Holy See for questioning. And once the investigations are out, they'll know more about the dark religion's goals and intentions. Sean suddenly felt sad, which Chloe noticed. Chloe smiled at her, and at the same time, the speaker inside the hall suddenly turned on and everyone ordered to gather in the training ground after their lunch. The four listened carefully to the announcement and wondered what their test would be this time. After a few minutes, all the students went to the training ground where Instructor Musad was waiting. According to him, 12 students have died and 25 have been injured in this terrible incident. As for the supervisor of the exam, this has come as an unwelcome and unfortunate surprise. On the other hand, everyone here hopes to enter the Hero Academy to become a hero. He said that students would encounter countless demonic beasts and unknown creatures in their future as a hero, and there would be even more casualties. He allowed those scared students to give up and leave the place if they wanted to. The students looked at each other and most of them wanted to go home. They started leaving while Musad was waiting for everyone to settle. After 2 minutes, only 72 students left. Alright, then I herewith appoint everyone here is an official cadet of the Hero Academy. After completing 8 weeks of training, you'll be granted the title of a warrior, Musad stated. According to him, the level test was conducted to rank the students according to their skills, but they hadn't had the chance to take a closer look at their skills up till now. The instructors appeared and Muse declared that students would have a 1-to-1 spar with the instructors. The instructors in charge will grade them with the best score being 10 points. Then, the spar will start once students are called up. Meanwhile, the spar had started. Isna de Filia got 8 points. Caesars got 7 points, and Silber de Jean got 5 points. Celine and Chan were happy that Silber did a great job. Silver was nervous as he thought he was going to die. 5 points is quite a good score, Celine uttered. Silver then acknowledged the help of her little friends as he believed he would have gotten a lower score without this spirit's help. Chloe tapped his shoulder and told him that it was still his talent to be so close to spirits. After several students sparred, Chloe's time finally came, and after a few minutes, the spar ended and she got 9 points after. Her three companions cheered for her, and Chloe was so proud of herself knowing that 9 points was the highest so far. She also believes she might have gotten full points if she had been in better condition. Up until this point, she still feels pain in her back because of the arrow that struck her back then. At this moment, she noticed that Sean became silent all of a sudden. Chloe knew the reason, so she told her that it wasn't because of her that she's in pain. While they were talking, a huge explosion happened right in front of them. The students were impressed, and it turned out that the flame was owned by Ronia from the Raphael's family, specializing in magic from the Shallows Kingdom. Ronia activates her Inferno Flame and attacks her opponent, who is one of the Academy's instructors. Her opponent activates a frozen shield, but Ronia's flame is still too strong, which makes Ronia believe that she defeated her enemy. But then, she flinched upon seeing her enemy instructor remain unharmed and was protected by the frozen shield. The instructor said that Ronia's attack wasn't enough to completely defeat her. After the battle, Ronia got 10 points, which is the highest score so far, and not just that, but 10 points is also the perfect score. Rihanna was very proud of herself and everyone was amazed by her talent. Silber even commented that she had never seen such a strong spell. Chloe also said that Rihanna is very cute and strong. "That's my rival, friend for you," Celine said. Then looked back at the center upon hearing the men in front of them comment that the next student was also strong. This time, the sparring is Levick to Anna's versus instructor's Grave. They both fought using swords. As per the audience, Levick has the family that founded the best swordsmanship academy in the Lauten Kingdom. While he was fighting against Grave, Celine was impressed and commented that instructor Grave looked like he was just dancing instead of fighting. While she was watching the sparring of Levick and Grave, Silber approached her, telling her that it was instructor Grave, the one who dealt with Harcus and saved them yesterday. At first, it didn't sink into Celine's mind, but upon realization, she then looked at Silber and said, "You mean instructor Grape?" Silber then said that it wasn't Grape but Grave. Celine then looked back to Grave, telling herself that this man was the one who saved them. This time, Grave fought against Levick without any emotion. Levick executed his fourth form called Unenlixknien. He attacked it to Grave, but seemed like Grave wasn't satisfied at all. He then declared that he had seen enough. He then gave Levick 10 points, and the other students cheered for him and said that descendants from those prestigious families are built completely different from them. After Levick's battle, Grave then called out the next student to spar. Celine was shocked upon seeing instructor Grave pointed at her. Grave ordered her to step forward and Celine then walked slowly to the battleground. Her comrades were cheering for her and wished her luck. Chloe also reminded her not to push herself too much, knowing that it hasn't been that long since she recovered. Celine looked at her and said okay while smiling. She also overheard the other students gossiping about her, saying that it was she who cleared the first exam at the top position. Most of the students were curious and looking forward to seeing her true strength. Even Levick was waiting for the match to begin and see with his own eyes how strong Celine was. "Well, it's not like she'd have higher scores than me," Ronia uttered confidently. Grave and Celine looked at each other. Grave was confused as to why Celine was so near, despite that he never said she'd come so close to him. Celine bowed down to him and gave thanks for saving her last day. Grave doesn't want her to say sorry, since it was really the Demon King who ordered him to save his daughter. He only followed the Demon King so he wouldn't be killed. He just stares at Celine, and Celine proclaims confidently that she'll become better than instructor Grave and become the strongest warrior in the whole wide world. Grave was nervous upon hearing what she said. As the Demon King told him, he should not let Celine become a hero. "I want to become the strongest warrior who can even take out the Demon King," Celine added with a clenched fist. Grave wanted to tell her the truth that her father is the Demon King, but he stopped himself to avoid trouble. To stop Celine from spitting words about the Demon King, he told her that those 3 things she said were unrelated to the exam. Celine didn't dent it. She immediately grabbed her sword and dashed at Grave with a smile on her face. She leapt while holding her sword, and Grave concluded that Celine plans to do a vertical slash. The great sword is forceful and has a wide reach, so swinging it broadly makes it seem more threatening, and Celine unconsciously ends up distancing herself. In case she fails at swinging it properly, her opponent ends up getting the upper hand in the battle. At times like this, it's better to dig more into the opponent rather than the striking point. Celine swung her sword and attacked Grave. Grave managed to block her sword, but he almost fell. Celine swung her sword again and attacked Grave numerous times, and Grave was still able to block her attack. Grave noticed how quick at reacting Celine was, so he believed it was the best time to parry damage as best Celine could do through diagonal movement and counterattack. This time, Grave was able to hit Celine but with no intention of giving her wounds. But then, he injured his hand, and at the same time, Celine flew away and almost fell. Despite that, she was able to injure Grave, causing Grave not to be able to move his left arm anymore. He suddenly stepped back, which confused the audience. Grave heard the students saying that they could not believe Celine fought at the same level as the instructor. Since it comes to this point, Grave decided to use another way. "I'll do you a favor and fight you using just one hand," he said. Ronia was happy as she thought there was no way Celine could fight this time. Silver was worried that Celine might not get good points, but Chloe calmed him down and told him that the match wasn't over yet. "I guess that means I must still have a long way to go, huh?" "Then, here I come in full force," Celine uttered. She was still calm while Grave deep inside panicked, since he thought Celine won't fight him this time. Celine charged at him at a fast speed, and Grave now confirmed that Celine's strength was beyond his expectations. But then, he passed through Celine also at a fast speed and gave Celine a scratch on her face. Celine tried once again, but Grave still left a little scratch on her neck, which means she died twice as per Grave. At this time, Celine bent down, and Silver at the same time felt the momentum change. Celine stood and charged at Grave while screaming so loud. Grave was expecting that Celine would do the same pattern up until now. He thought Celine was executing the same attack that was clearly visible. But then, Celine intentionally struck her sword on the sand on the battlefield and swung it to make sure Grave wouldn't see her move. Grave didn't expect this shallow trick would happen. But still, he clearly saw Celine's sword swinging. Celine strikes an attack that creates a strong force. Everyone coughed because of the sand, and they were waiting to see if Celine was able to make it. But then, when the smoke of sand slowly dissipated, it turned out that Grave was behind Celine and he was pointing his sword at Celine's neck. "Let's end this here," he said. Celine didn't move for a moment, and the audience commented that the match between Celine and Grave was quite exciting. They were amazed and expected that Celine would get a high score from Grave, but then they were dumbfounded upon hearing Grave declare that Celine got 1 point. Grave regrets taking the match too long and injuring himself. He uttered Celine's name and said once more that Celine's score was 1 point. Celine was dumbfounded. Everyone was also shocked with the result, and they just thought they heard it wrong. Silver was mad as he couldn't believe that Celine's unbelievable movement was rated lowest amongst all, and also Chloe could not accept the result either. The goal of the spar is to analyze the individual abilities, so Chloe wondered why the evaluation standard was so high only for Celine. She wanted to complain, but before she could complain, a student stepped forward in the battleground and angrily screamed. It was Ronia. She pointed her finger to Instructor Grave, asking him what part of the spar made him give Celine 1 point. Chloe was surprised, thinking that Ronia was in favor of Celine this time. Ronia's guardian at the same time was upset seeing Ronia act mad once again. "I'm the examiner here, and that was my judgment," Grave answered. Ronia still pointed at him, telling him that he was lacking as an examiner and she didn't understand the score even if how much she would think about it. She pointed her finger at Levick behind her and angrily asked why Levick got perfect points while Celine got the lowest score possible. She accused Grave that he was bribed by someone, but then Grave didn't answer and ordered her to go back to her place. Instructor Musad interfered and glared at him, asking him if he was really sure that Celine only deserved 1 point. Still, Grave didn't withdraw what he said. He even confidently proclaimed that he was sure Celine only deserved the lower point. Musad then told him that those who had watched the spar were doubting his judgment and suspecting foul play. "To calm down the situation, I feel like you should explain yourself," he added. Grave remained calm and showed everyone that he didn't regret the score he gave. But deep inside of him, he was aware that Celine really had the skill, but he didn't have a choice but to stop Celine, the Demon King's daughter, from becoming a hunter for him to survive. He started explaining by saying that Celine undoubtedly has amazing physical abilities and is resourceful and creative, so she has a lot of growth and potential. Even then, he concludes that Celine relies too much on her strength and her attacks lack technique and control. This means that she hasn't even mastered the basics. Secondly, he heard that Celine just awakened her magic power and she couldn't control it yet. For him, having no control over one's magic power is the same as being unable to use it. Mosa had clearly heard his reason, but Ronia still could not accept it. She wanted to give a comment about the evaluation standard of Grave, but Grave won't allow her to speak. His aura becomes scary in the eyes of Ronia, and he reminds Ronia that the one with the right to make the judgment is no other than the examiner. "Complain all you like, but I won't listen to them," he uttered. Ronia was so mad at him. And at the same time, Musette agreed with Grave that it's up to the examiner to choose what the evaluation standards are. Grave looked at Ronia to tease her while thinking that Ronia should become an examiner rather than complain too much. Ronia then angrily told Celine to say something about her score, but then, Celine bowed down to Grave, which confused Grave and Ronia. "Thank you," Celine said sincerely with a wide smile on her face. She believes that Grave gave her a low score in order to show her that she still has a long way to go. Grave was dumbfounded, but he said yes to Celine's conclusion. Celine then promised to try her best to improve, just like what Grave said, to think that there was a deeper meaning behind your evaluation. Indeed, Instructor Grave must also think highly of Celine and her potential, Newshead stated while tapping Grave's shoulder. On the contrary, Ronia was mad and screamed angrily, asking them why these people accepted Celine's score easily while she could not accept it, knowing that Celine would rank low with the given score. "It's not like I can't become a warrior if my rank is low, isn't it?" Celine asked, and Ronia answered no, so Celine widely smiled and said that 1 point was enough for her. I don't know anymore. All of you are so annoying," Ronia screamed. She then declares that she will stay away from Celine from now on, and Celine then reminds her that they were rivals, but Ronia answered they're not. While Ronia was venting her anger, Chloe and Silber were laughing because of their cuteness and bickering at each other. On the other hand, Grave was staring at Celine in confusion, wondering why this girl was still so happy after receiving the lowest score possible. At the same time, in the Demon King's castle, Shin was staring at the window. He was holding his crystal ball and reached out to Grave using this ball. He then asked Grave how things were going, and Grave then informed him that Celine was accepted at the academy. He explains that he gave Celine the lowest possible score in the sparring evaluation so she could get the lowest rank, but upon hearing it, Shin gets mad, asking Grave why his daughter got the lowest score. Grave then reminded him that it was his order to prevent his daughter from becoming a hero. Shin then realized it and permitted Grave to continue his report. Grave then reported everything that happened yesterday, and because of it, Shin was full of anger. He dissipates the crystal ball and calls out Luke. Luke immediately reported himself to Shin, and he could see how mad Shin was. "Luke, find out what and who the dark religion is. How dare they harm my daughter?" Shin said. At the same time, Grave was annoyed at the Demon King because of his messed up personality, and he even wanted to destroy the ball to stop their communication. Going back to the Hero Academy, News had showed them the dormitory allocation. He first gathered everyone to inform them all that the 8 weeks of training will begin tomorrow with the entrance ceremony. He then allowed them to check which room they were allocated to and rest for the rest of the day. Everyone then headed to their dorms with happiness, knowing that they could now finally rest. Celine was hoping that they were in the same room, and Silber was startled and asked her if she meant that every one of them, including him. "Yup, we're going to have fun together," Celine replied. Silber panicked and wanted to say his gender, but then Chloe was checking the available room and saw that there were only double rooms available. Celine was upset and decided to check the room allocation. She then saw Chloe and Shan's names, which were allocated in the same room. She was so jealous of them, and she was hoping that she and Silber would also be in the same room. Silber said no since he was a male. Celine then checked the room allocation again, but then she and Ronia were in the same room, which is room 207. She was so disappointed, while Silber still wanted to tell her that she was a male. She suddenly paused and Silber begged her to listen. Ronia suddenly came and called her. She turned around, but she didn't see the little girl. She was sure she heard Ronia's voice, and Ronia suddenly hit her and asked her if she had a death wish. "Ah, I knew it. You are Ronia, right?" she said, but Ronia was dumbfounded knowing that Celine didn't feel any pain after hitting her. "What do you mean? I knew it, you are Ronia." "I already told you that you should stay out of my sight," Ronia angrily said. Celine then told her that she likes her, but Ronia said they have different feelings toward each other. "Don't be like that. Let's get along well as roommates from now on," Celine stated. Ronia then asked why would she agree, and Celine answered that it was because they were rivals. Roman suddenly walked near them, so Ronia thought Roman would scold her. But then, Roman ignored her and approached Silber. Ronia and Celine were staring at Silber and Roman, wondering what's the reason why Roman approached Silber.